Hi guys. Didn't see you there for a minute. I'm just busy working on the Pops Fiero build here. If you've been following the channel, you know this is the build I'm doing for the winner of the auction of the Midwest Fiero Club. And as I'm working here, right now I'm running fuel lines on the engine. It's just a bunch of details that I torture myself with. Hold on, I can't even see you guys. I'm thinking to myself, you know, these kits are cool. Every one of them that I've ever built, I've enjoyed. But I did see a video recently from a YouTuber who's basically the gist of the build was he didn't like Tamiya products because they were too easy to build. They go together too easy. There's not much of a challenge there. They are just not anything he's ever going to like. It's an interesting video. If I can figure out what channel that was on, I will post a link here. You guys will be interested to see it. He's a really interesting cat, and I like watching his videos. But it led me to wonder: is there such a thing as a bad kit, or a kit that's so good that it's too easy? And if it's too easy, is that fun or boring? And in thinking about this, I started mulling over some of the builds that I've done. And I have built Tamiya kits, love them to death. And I've also built Monogram, right here. This is a Monogram kit. Revell, AMT, you know, a wide variety of different brands. And there are some that have been a bit of a challenge. And I'm thinking to myself, well, which builds do I really remember the most? Is it the ones that were easy and made a really great looking model to put on the shelf that didn't really stress me out too much? Or the ones that really made me work for it? And that just got my mind working on this question. What do you enjoy more? The ones that really make you work for it, or the ones that build quick and easy and go right up on the shelf? Matter of fact, I got two perfect examples of what I'm talking about right over here. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, guys, right here we have two perfect examples of what I'm talking about. I did a build on the channel, which was a comparison build of the Tamiya Ferrari Testarossa and the Monogram Ferrari Testarossa. Now, as expected, the Tamiya went together like buttery smooth. Everything fit. The only issue I had with the Tamiya was the rear deck lid, and that was it. It also had the better interior. The details were a little lacking, but it has pop-up headlights, posable steering, full braking system was included, and the engine was a really nice assembly. So all in all, it was a really nice build. Then we come over to the Monogram. And again, the Monogram was much more of a challenge. There were some areas where the details were lacking, but other areas where the detail were amazing. The interior was not as good as a Tamiya, but the engine compartment definitely has it in the detail department over the Tamiya. Now, the wheels are actually more accurate to the car of the year it was made, and even though they were not as nice as the Tamiya wheels, they did represent more of the car, as it should be. Now, the Tamiya did have better tires, as they were staggered, unlike the Monogram, which all the tires are the same size. But the Monogram, to me, represents more of what the actual Ferrari Testarossa looked like on Miami Vice than the Tamiya does. Now, that may be because, well, that is definitely because the Monogram is the American version of the car, while the Tamiya is the Italian version of the car. And in being the Italian version, there were quite a few details that were different from the American version. Now, I was building these in the style of the Miami Vice cars because I'm a huge Miami Vice fan, and I wanted some white Testarossas. So I figure I'll do the Tamiya and the Monogram both as the Miami Vice cars. And I was very happy with the way both turned out. And in that comparison build, I do come to the conclusion that Tamiya is the better kit. It goes together better. It just, the ease of the build makes it the better kit. But was it the most fun? And I have to say, I enjoyed the Monogram much more because it presented more of a challenge on what I had to overcome in order to make everything come out the way I wanted. I really had to figure out the stance of the car with the Monogram, as I found that the wheels didn't fit exactly the where I wanted them to, so it required quite a bit more work than the Tamiya did. The engine compartment also had quite a bit more detail to it, which, if you know me, you know that the engine compartments are my favorite parts, one of my favorite parts of the build. Let's just pop this open and give you guys a look at what I'm talking about here. Now, I didn't hinge this one because I like the engine compartment so much. I wanted to be able to remove it to show the detail. And I also did not permanently attach the air cleaner because I wanted to be able to look in here. And as you can see, the Monogram has amazing detail on the engine. Let's see if we can give you a little bit of light here. There we go. That is some amazing detail on that engine. Of course, I added the wiring, the plumbing, all sorts of other odds and ends to it. But the overall engine itself is a really good looking piece. And the intake is fully detailed with all the sensors and bits that are on it, as well as all of the hoses and wiring that go across on the engine frame. Now, putting it together was a little more difficult than the Tamiya, as it required a bit of a balancing act to get everything to go where you wanted it to. But overall, it makes an amazing presentation. And was, in itself, a very fun build. Now, the Tamiya is, this one I did hinge the engine lid on because I didn't really give that much thought before I put it together. As you can see here, the Tamiya makes a really nice presentation also. The detailing is usually, as usual, Tamiya crisp and clear, but it is somewhat lacking in the details where the Monogram wasn't. As you can see here. Now, it did go together much easier than the Monogram. As you can see here. And it also does make a really nice presentation. So both are excellent builds. So it comes back to my question now. Is the kit that goes together super smooth and super easy the better kit? Or is the one that really makes you work for it the better kit? Which one gets you the most out of your modeling experience? For me, with the amount of money you spend on some of these kits, I want to get the most out of them that I can. You know, I want the experience to be something that I'm going to remember, something that's going to really push me to figure things out. And that's where the most of the enjoyment for me comes in building scale models. And the monogram did exactly that. And it also presents itself really nicely when finished. Even though the Tamiya also presents itself fantastically. But the Tamiya was just a little bit, I don't want to say too good, but didn't pose as much of a challenge as the monogram. So as to what kit is better for who, I would say it depends on the builder. If you're looking for something more challenging, that's going to cause you to really push yourself, then you might find it to me is a little too simple. But if you're looking for something that goes together easily and really presents beautifully, then the Tamiyas are right up your alley. So that comes back to my initial question. Is there such a thing as a bad kit? Or is it just different levels of difficulty? And I'm asking you guys, what do you think? Because I have built some kits that have really tested my patience. But those are ones that also have really made me enjoy them. Those are the ones I remember the most. Now, these two both went together pretty well, even though the monogram was a bit more of a challenge than the Tamiya. But nothing that was excessively challenging. Let me show you one that was. Now, this little guy right here, this little guy tested my patience. And this is the Opal GT from AMT. It's basically just a Reeboks kit. The original tooling has seen better days. And this one really did force me to think and figure out what it was that I wanted to do with this kit besides smash it against the wall. And I found it to be a really enjoyable build because it did force me just to think outside the box, re-engineer a few things on it, figure out what was a better way to go about than what AMT had in their instruction booklet. And really, this one really was one of the most challenging kits that I've ever built. Now, it's a very simple, basic kit. If you look at it, it's got very low parts count. It's very easy to slap together. But to make a good presentation out of it, quite a bit more difficult. So, I'm very happy with the way it came out. It definitely is a build that I am not going to forget anytime soon. And that's kind of the point, isn't it? That you're going to build things and have an experience that you don't want to forget anytime soon. And that is where the joy of scale model building is for me. I want to look back on them and really be able to enjoy the memories of the trials and tribulations I went through with this particular build. And I'm thinking that that's where the fun of scale modeling is. Now, to test my theory, I went out and I purchased what I have read is universally a horrendous kit from everyone I've seen who has built it, which is this 1977 Pinto. I've read that it just really is not something that goes together easily, and it's gonna fight me the whole way. This is one of my new additions to the stash, And it's going to be something that I'm going to be looking forward to building, because I'm just curious as to, will I finally run into a kit that I can call a bad kit? Or will I can find a kit that's going to present me with another really great challenge in order to make a presentable model? At the same time, the next stash ad, the Buick Grand National, which I've been looking for a model of this for a while, ran into it and had to pick it up. So right now I just wanted to show you that because I love the Grand National. But my whole point is back here. So this is going to become a build on the channel once I'm done with the last couple of builds I have going. And we're going to test that theory. And we're going to make the, I'm going to call that the, is there such a thing as a bad model kit theory? A bad model kit series. And if this thing really pushes my buttons the way I'm expecting it to, I'm probably really going to enjoy it. But if it doesn't go together well at all, and none of the parts fit correctly, and it just kind of sucks to build, I'm going to let you know. Alright, this kit here is the one kit that I can honestly say I would probably never buy or build again. Does it mean that I regret buying or building it? No, as it was an interesting build experience, to say the least, and the fact that it's interesting makes it worthwhile to me. It really did present the challenge to make a presentable model out of it, as it is extremely lacking in details, and what details it does have, most are incorrect. You had to basically do everything to this kit to make it look even halfway decent. And I do have to say that I like the end result, but the journey getting there with this kit is the main story of it, as it is not a high quality kit. Matter of fact, it's as low a quality a kit as you're probably ever going to find. But the challenge was in getting it to this point, and doing what little details it had, and fixing all the things that are wrong with it, and getting it to look the way it does. And that's kind of the point, I think, for modeling for myself, that it's the journey to get to the end result that really matters, not the end result. And if you enjoy that journey, then I consider that a good kit, even if it's something that you would probably never build again. So why don't you guys just look back and your kits and let me know what it is that you like or don't like, or what you think about this subject. I'm interested, so let's have a conversation. That's going to be it for this one. And I will see you out there. Let me know how you guys feel about this whole subject, and let's talk.